We need to talk about the iPhone 18 Pro Max leaks. Most of the tech world is looking at these leaked specs like they're some kind of holy grail of innovation. But if you look closer, really squint at what Apple is doing here, you realize something funny. This isn't a flex, it's a flinch. Seriously, look at the narrative forming around this device. We are hearing about massive battery jumps. We are hearing about variable apertures. We are hearing about 2-nanometer efficiency. On paper, that looks like progress. But in reality, that is the sound of Apple admitting that things have quietly gone wrong. See, Apple doesn't usually chase numbers. They usually sit back, cross their arms, and tell us that the experience is all that matters. But now, suddenly, they are pushing toward 5,000 or 5,200 milliamp hours. They are obsessed with modem optimization. When a company that already claims to have the best battery life suddenly starts acting paranoid about efficiency, that is not confidence, my friends. That is preemptive defense. Let's break down the battery situation because this is where the psychology gets really interesting. For the last year, have you noticed a vibe shift? Nobody cares about benchmarks anymore. Nobody cares if your phone opens Twitter 0.01 seconds faster than the Galaxy S25. The conversation has moved to the boring, adult stuff. Endurance, reliability, the fear of your phone turning into a brick at 7 p.m. when you're trying to call an Uber. Go look at the forums. Go look at the comment sections on Mac rumors or phone reviews. It's all the same complaint. People are tired of battery anxiety. And Apple, they have the best data in the world. They know exactly when your phone dies. So when the leaks say the iPhone 18 Pro Max is getting a massive physical battery upgrade, that is a signal. It's Apple waving a white flag and saying, okay, we hear you, please don't leave. They aren't looking at the competition of today. They're terrified of the expectations of tomorrow. Samsung has spent years normalizing these massive numbers on spec sheets. They play the spectacle game. They throw 100x zoom and massive batteries at the wall, and eventually, that stuff sticks in the consumer's brain. Even if you don't use it, you know it's there. And that creates a feeling of missing out if your iPhone doesn't have it. Apple is finally realizing that they can't just ignore the spectacle anymore. They have to neutralize it. And then we have to talk about the chip, the A20 Pro. Now, obviously, it's going to be faster. It's on a 2-nanometer process. The headlines are going to scream, fastest chip ever, because that's what headlines do. But zoom out. When a main selling point of a new chip is efficiency rather than power, that is the industry's code word for we hit a wall. Raw performance has plateaued. We honestly don't need faster phones right now. Your Instagram feed can only load so fast before your brain melts. So the battlefield has shifted. It's no longer about revolution. It's about optimization. It's about making sure the phone doesn't get hot. It's about squeezing an extra hour of screen time out of the same tasks. It's the mature phase of the smartphone. It's like when you stop dating the exciting, unstable person and settle down with a reliable accountant. It's better, sure, but it's definitely less thrilling. But the real juicy part? The part that makes me laugh? The camera. Specifically, the rumor about the variable aperture. Now, if you have been in the tech game for a while, you remember the Samsung Galaxy S9, right? Samsung did variable aperture years ago, and then they dropped it. They realized it was expensive, complex, and most people didn't notice the difference. But now, Apple is bringing it back and framing it as this massive breakthrough. Is it because we desperately need mechanical aperture blades? No. It's because Apple's camera reputation has taken a beating lately. Be honest. Have you seen the photos from the recent iPhones? The Smart HDR is getting weird. Photos look overprocessed. They look sharp, but they don't look real. Reviewers are starting to point it out. Even the die-hard Apple fans are admitting that sometimes the photos look like oil paintings. That critique chips away at the Apple brand. Apple sells prestige. They sell the best. If people start thinking the pixel peeping on a Google Pixel or a Chinese flagship is better, Apple panics. So, introducing a mechanical, moving part like a variable aperture is a statement. It's them slamming their fist on the table and saying, we still take photography seriously. Will the average user manually adjust their f-stop? Absolutely not. They will never touch that setting, but they will know it's there. And the tech enthusiasts on Reddit will argue about it for months. And that is exactly what Apple wants. They designed the phone for the trust of the average user, but they give the enthusiasts just enough toys so that the enthusiasts do the marketing for them. There's also the design aspect, the under-display Face ID, the shrinking cutouts. On the surface, this looks like Apple just making the phone prettier. But think about the context. You have Chinese brands and Samsung flirting with completely clean, bezel-less displays. Apple moves slowly, we know this, but they cannot afford to lose the aesthetic high ground. Design leadership is part of the Apple myth, and myths are fragile things. They have to be maintained constantly. If an Oppo or a Xiaomi phone looks 3 years more futuristic than an iPhone, the spell breaks. So Apple is rushing to hide the sensors, not because it changes how you use the phone, but because it changes how you look at the phone compared to the competition. It's actually funny when you look at the strategy of the big three right now. It reveals their deepest insecurities. Google is screaming about AI because they know their hardware doesn't have the same cultural clout. Samsung is doubling down on features and variety because they need to be everything to everyone. And Apple is doubling down on hardware refinement because they are terrified of losing the "it just works better" crown. 3 companies, 3 insecurities, 3 different strategies to hide them. But here is the uncomfortable truth that none of their marketing teams will ever admit. Most people buying the iPhone 18 Pro Max won't be upgrading because of an nanometer process. They won't upgrade because of aperture blades. They will upgrade because their current battery sucks, or because their contract is up, or because they saw their friend with a shiny new phone and felt a little pang of jealousy. The industry sells us 4D chess moves, but we are just buying comfort. So when you see the keynote and Tim Cook gets up there talking about pro-grade camera control and all-day battery life defined, I want you to ask yourself a question. Is this about what you need? Or is this about Apple's brand positioning? Because to me, this iPhone doesn't feel like Apple trying to leap 10 years into the future. It feels like Apple looking in the rearview mirror, seeing the competition getting closer and slamming on the gas just to maintain the gap. Is a device built on reassurance. And in a market this mature, where phones are basically perfect already, controlling perception is way more powerful than actually changing reality. The real story isn't that the iPhone 18 Pro Max lasts longer. It's that Apple wants to make sure you never, ever look at a Samsung phone and wonder what if. They're selling you the peace of mind that you made the right choice. It's not innovation, folks. It's therapy. And honestly, for $1,000, maybe reassurance is exactly what people want to buy when the world feels this chaotic. But hey, that's just the vibe I'm getting. Let me know if you think I'm crazy or if you're also tired of pretending 5% efficiency gains are exciting. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.